What's up, Commanders Nation? Before we dive into this blockbuster trade talk, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an insider update. Today, we're diving into the TU trade targets that could turn the Washington Commanders from playoff hopefuls into legit Super Bowl contenders. We're talking sack machine Trey Hendrickson and the cheetah himself, Tyreek Hill. Is Adam Peters ready to go all in? Let's break it all down. Right now on Commanders HQ, the Washington Commanders have already flipped the script on what this franchise looks like. We're talking about a completely different culture under Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. Jaden Daniels has the keys to the kingdom. Laramie Tunsil and Deebo Samuel are in the building. And the draft brought in promising talent like cornerback Trey Amos and linebacker Kane Medrano. But even with all those positive moves, this 2025 roster is not a finished product. If Washington really wants to maximize Jaden Daniels' rookie contract window and push deep into the playoffs this year, they need to make one more defensive and one more offensive move. And the two names that could change everything, Trey Hendrickson, Tyreek Hill. Let's start with the trenches and the nightmare scenario for opposing quarterbacks. Trey Hendrickson is available. Let's not sugarcoat it. The Bengals' edge rusher led the NFL with 17.5 sacks in 2024, but he's made it crystal clear he's done playing under his current deal. And guess who's watching that situation like a hawk? Yep, Adam Peters. Here's what Justin Mello of the Draft Network had to say. The Commanders have been incredibly aggressive this offseason. Hendrickson would seriously upgrade their pass rushing unit. They lost Dante Fowler and didn't replace him with anybody notable. Facts: Dan Quinn's system is built around disruption, relentless pressure off the edge, chaos on third down, and forcing quarterbacks into mistakes. Right now, Washington doesn't have that game-wrecking presence. Hendrickson would instantly become the alpha on this line. He's 30, but still elite. And with the Commanders holding the 6th most cap space in 2026, they can easily afford an extension. So it's not a short-term rental. This would be a move that reshapes the defense for years. And just listen to what Hendrickson himself said when asked about the Bengals front office. Lack of communication leads to animosity. There are unprovoked shark attacks, and there are provoked shark attacks. That doesn't sound like a guy ready to patch things up in Cincinnati. This is a relationship on the verge of collapse. And if the Commanders are serious about winning now, they can step in, offer draft compensation, and land a player who could unlock Dan Quinn's entire scheme. If Peters doesn't pull the trigger on Hendrickson, he better plan on outscoring people every week. And that leads us to trade target. Number 2, let's talk about Tyreek Hill. Yes, Washington already has a solid receiving core. Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Noah Brown, and Michael Gallup. But we're not just talking about solid. We're talking about taking the top off the NFL. We're talking about explosiveness on every single snap. Hill may have turned 31, but don't be fooled. He still posted 81 catches for 959 yards last season. Even in a down year, he's producing better than most WR1s in the league. And let's not ignore the smoke. Hill made it clear after last season that he wanted out of Miami. Then he backtracked. But according to Ralph Vacchiano of Fox Sports, if you follow the social media breadcrumbs, Hill hasn't let go of that idea. He's still bucking for a trade. The money? Yeah, he's due about $27.7 million in salary and bonuses in 2025. But that's exactly why the Commanders might be able to make something happen. Miami may not want that cap hit. Hill might be willing to restructure if he knows he's landing with a contender. And pairing him with McLaurin and Samuel, that's lethal. There wouldn't be a more explosive trio in the NFL. You give a dual-threat QB like Jaden Daniels those kinds of weapons, and now you're talking about an offense that's uncoverable. Hill stretches defenses vertically. McLaurin is elite in the intermediate game, and Deebo punishes you underneath. That's a nightmare to scheme against. Let's not overlook the locker room vibes either. Veteran leaders believe in this team, and they believe in Jaden Daniels. Just listen to Terry McLaurin. There were a lot of Sundays where he was our best player out there. He can extend plays with his legs, his arm. He can make all the throws. I'm just looking forward to growing with him. That's from a guy who's been through the QB carousel. And now he sees something different, something special. Daniels gives this team a shot, but you have to build around him while his rookie contract gives you flexibility. And that's exactly why Peters went out and got Tunsil, got Debo, brought in vets like Bobby Wagner and O.J. Howard. The window is right now, and these last two puzzle pieces, Hendrickson on defense, Hill on offense, that could be the difference between a wild card run and a Super Bowl parade. So here's the bottom line. Commanders fans. Adam Peters has done almost everything right this offseason. He rebuilt the offensive line. He landed elite playmakers. He added toughness and leadership to the locker room. And he drafted young, smart, high upside players. But there's still one major hole on the edge and one more gear to unlock in this offense. Trey Hendrickson and Tyreek Hill represent very different skill sets, but both fill crucial gaps, and both could become available for the right price. The question is, does Peters believe enough in this roster to go all in? Because one more big move on either side of the ball could push the Commanders into the elite tier of the NFC, right? Alongside the Niners, Lions, and yes, the Eagles, we're about to find out just how aggressive this front office is willing to be. Let's start with one of the most intriguing names from Washington's 2025 draft class, cornerback Trey Amos. On paper, the Commanders snagged a real value pick in the second round with the 61st overall selection, but new reporting from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler adds a layer of context that fans need to hear. According to Fowler, a lingering back issue discovered during the pre-draft process might have been what pushed Amos just far enough down the board to be available for Washington. It wasn't catastrophic, not enough to cause a freefall, but one AFC executive made it clear. It likely contributed to a slight slide, and if you look at his journey, you can see why that back issue may have flown under the radar at first glance. Amos started out at Louisiana, where he spent 3 years, then made a leap to Alabama in 2023. Unfortunately, his time in Tuscaloosa didn't pan out. He saw limited action and didn't register a single interception. But here's the plot twist. After transferring again, this time to Ole Miss, Amos put the SEC on notice. He notched career highs in tackles, 50, pass breakups, 13, and recorded the first 3 interceptions of his college career. That's the kind of late surge that turns heads, especially for a team like Washington that desperately needed cornerback help after parting ways with Benjamin Saint-Just and losing Michael Davis to free agency limbo with new defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. entering his second season, and Dan Quinn overseeing the whole operation. There's a clear mandate. Make the secondary faster, more physical, and more versatile. Amos, if healthy, could fit that bill perfectly. He joins a room that now features veteran Jonathan Jones, signed in March. The returning Noah Igbinoghene, former Saints star Marshon Lattimore, added midseason in 2024, and Mike Senristil, another 2024 second-round pick. There's talent, there's competition, but there's also opportunity. Amos doesn't need to be a lockdown CB1 right away. He just needs to stay healthy and carve out a consistent role. And with Dan Quinn's track record developing corners in Dallas, don't be surprised if Amos becomes one of the biggest steals of this draft class by year's end. That back injury, it might have been a blessing in disguise for Washington. Now let's shift from potential to passion, from draft analysis to deep emotion. During rookie minicamp, one name got fans and the entire facility talking: Gabe Taylor. Not because of a headline stat or jaw-dropping highlight, but because of his name. Gabe is the younger brother of the late Sean Taylor, and he came to Ashburn on a tryout deal to chase the very dream his brother lived out in burgundy and gold. Let's be real. This wasn't just another rookie camp story. This was about legacy. Taylor, a safety out of Rice, had multiple teams showing interest. But when the Commanders called, the answer was simple. He wanted to follow his brother's footsteps. Not for clout, not for headlines, but because it meant something. And according to reports, Gabe held his own. Coaches noticed his speed, his effort, and most of all, his attitude. Head coach Dan Quinn himself praised Taylor and the other tryouts, saying, "I love seeing players like him really going for it. It's been very worthwhile for him and the other guys to say, okay, I'm seeing what the Commanders are, what they stand for." But here's the sobering part. As emotional and inspiring as this story is, there's no guarantee it ends with a contract. GM Adam Peters is building this team with one mission, winning. And he's not letting sentiment get in the way. Even if a deal never comes, Gabe Taylor made a statement. He stood in the shadow of his brother's incredible legacy and didn't flinch. He chose to embrace it, even knowing the expectations that come with that last name in Washington. That takes guts. That takes heart. And from a purely football standpoint, Taylor showed enough to stay on the radar. If not with Washington, there's a real chance another team gives him a camp invite. He's raw, yes, but he's fast, instinctive, and clearly has the right mindset. At the very least, he walked onto that field and proved that he belongs in the conversation. And let's not forget, the story isn't over. Washington is still finalizing its 90-man camp roster. Injuries happen. Roster moves are fluid. Gabe Taylor might still get his shot, and if he does, no one will have earned it more. So what do Trey, Amos, and Gabe Taylor have in common? They're both part of a larger identity shift happening in Washington under Dan Quinn and Adam Peters. This isn't about flashy headlines. It's about building a culture, one that values grit, resilience, and upside. Amos could be a foundational piece in the secondary for years if he stays healthy and develops. Taylor, meanwhile, is the heartstring story that reminds us why football still matters beyond the scoreboard. In a league where every inch counts, the Commanders are looking for more than just physical traits. They're looking for the right mindset, the right heart, and guys who understand what it means to wear the W. But now it's your turn, Commanders Nation. Would you trade for Trey Hendrickson or Tyreek Hill? Which one would help more, defense or offense? And what kind of draft compensation would you be willing to give up? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll be jumping in and replying all day. And don't forget, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a breaking Commanders report. We've got more insider updates, trade rumors, and locker room buzz coming your way every week. Until next time, this is Commanders HQ signing off. Hail to the Commanders!